What is up, car addicts? In this video, we'll be talking about this week's Double Money Event Week as well as the property and vehicle discounts. This event week is for June 9th through June 15th, 2022. The current price ride for this week is the Dubachi Spectre. This car is primarily based on the Aston Martin DB10. It has a normal price of just under $600,000. However, it is on sale this week for half price, so at that price point, that definitely makes this week's prize ride a lot less worth it. But anyways, to get this car for free, you have to place top 5 in a Pursuit Series race for 3 days in a row. Now, usually I'm not a fan of these days in a row requirements, but honestly, 3 days in a row isn't too bad in comparison to the 5 days in a row that they usually put for these more expensive cars. Now, in terms of performance, this car is in the sports car class and is around 35th place for that class in terms of lap time, and it basically has the same lap time as the Spectre Custom, which is the Benny's variant. So unlike a lot of the other Benny's cars, this one doesn't really benefit all that much from Benny's performance upgrades. It just benefits in terms of visual customization and the wide body and all that stuff. Now, in terms of the test ride vehicles for this week, we have the Sultan Classic, the Autark, and the Entity XF. And for next-gen console players, we have the Cyclone 2 as the HSW test ride car for this week. Now, in terms of the casino podium vehicle, we have the overflawed Entity XF. So this car is primarily based on the Koenigsegg CCX. It has a normal price of $795,000. Now, in terms of performance, this car used to be the OG supercar king for track performance back in 2013, but obviously over the years, faster and faster supercars have released, and the Entity XF now sits around 35th place in that class, which is around the pace of the Turismo R and the Penetrator. So, starting off with the property discounts, we have 30% off the high-end apartments, and the stilt houses as well. So if you've been wanting more garage space or wanting to move to a different location, now is definitely the time to do that. Moving on to vehicle discounts, we have a ton this week, specifically on Legendary Motorsports, so let's get into it. We have 30% off the Champion, one of the slowest and most expensive supercars in that class. It's a pretty cool looking car, but honestly, I don't see a point in owning it when there's much better vehicles out there for both performance and the Yamani tech options as well. Next up, we have 30% off the Morgan. So this car is in the sports class and is one of the top 5 sports cars depending on the track because of its impressive handling and acceleration as well. However, its top speed is very low, which kind of holds it back again depending on the track. Moving along, we have 30% off the Tyrant. So this car is in the supercar class and is around mid-pack due to the slow handling flags that it has, unfortunately. Next up, we have 30% off the Entity XXR, an absolutely beautiful car with some decent customization as well, but unfortunately this one does have the slow handling flags as well, which actually makes it slower around a track than the OG Entity XF. Moving along, we have 30% off the Autark. So this car is in the supercar class as well and is one of the easiest supercars to drive with its impressive handling and general speed as well. I think it's a great price for this car considering its performance. Next up, we have 30% off the Rapid GT Classic. This car is in the Sports Classics class and is actually one of the top performing cars in that class if we exclude the HSW Turismo Classic. Next up, we have 30% off the Wagner. So this car is in top 5 for the supercar class if we exclude the HSW vehicles, and is by far the best deal if you're looking for an extremely competitive supercar on a budget. Moving along, we have 50% off the Massacro. So this car is in the sports class and used to be very competitive back in 2014 when it released. However, over the years, it's been pushed down in terms of track performance and now sits around 25th place in that class. Next up, we have 50% off the JB700. So this, of course, is the regular JB700 with no special gadgets and guns that don't work. So keep that in mind. It's definitely the budget James Bond car. Moving along, we have 50% off the Exemplar. So this car is in the coupes class and isn't really an expensive car to begin with. Plus it has no visual customization, so do keep that in mind. And lastly, for this website, we have 50% off the Rapid GT and the Rapid GT Topless as well. Two below average performing sports cars with a couple customization options, but not really all that quick or special. However, I will mention that this car used to be one of the OGs for lowering the back end and hitting the back end so that it would do the kind of glitched speed insanely fast, and it actually still works for those of you who are wondering. So yeah, you can look up some videos on that if you want to see that. But yeah, it's still a fun vehicle in that regard, but with no glitching or any of that sort, it's not really all that. Moving on to the Southern San Andreas website, we have 50% off the Massacro race car. So I remember when this car and the Jester race car released back in late 2014. They were the top two new sports cars for performance, and almost everyone was using them back then. And even till this day, this car is still in top 25 for track performance for the sports class, which is very impressive. And lastly, moving on to the Benny's website, we have 50% off the Spectre Custom, as we saw earlier, and 50% off the Benny's custom conversion cost for the Spectre Custom as well, bringing that conversion cost down to only $126,000. In terms of login items, just for logging in this week, you will get 100,000 GTA dollars, which is pretty nice. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on pursuit races, which is pretty interesting. Next up, we have double money NRP on casino missions, casino work, and the Gerald missions as well. And lastly, we have double money NRP on the adversary mode Vehicle Vendetta and Vehicle Vendetta Street as well. Moving on to the Prime Gaming discounts for Prime Gaming members only. So again, same as the last few months, the only thing we have is the usual free $100,000 for logging in during the event week period. And lastly, this week's RC Bandito time trial is Construction Site 2. This week's normal time trial is Power Station. I highly recommend a fast car such as the Pariah or one of the top motorcycles for this time trial. Or of course, one of the HSW vehicles if you're on Next Gen. In terms of the premium race for this week, we have the Supercar Race Business Trip. I highly recommend either the Emirates, Krieger, or the Vest 8 for this race. And if you're on Next Gen, you want to be using either the HSW to Vest 8 or the HSW Weaponized Ignis. And lastly, for Next Gen console users, the HSW time trial for this week is Ron Alternates. As always, the HSW Hakuchu Drag will be the best one for these. Every Friday I post a guide on how to easily beat all the time trials, so stay tuned for that if you're new. In terms of my vehicle discount pick of the week, I'm gonna have to go with the Wagner. With its incredible performance in the supercar class, at this price, this car is an absolute steal. And if you're a relatively newer player that doesn't really have any top performing supercars, I highly recommend picking this one up this week. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, this event week is obviously very strong in terms of vehicle discounts. However, we don't have any from the Warstock website, so it's kind of missing somewhat there. But in general, the normal vehicle discounts are absolutely insane this week. Very, very good for the most part. But in terms of bonus money, I'd say it's pretty average. It could be a bit better, maybe a business or something on double money, which we don't have. I guess we'll see what happens next week, but with all the rumors circulating and stuff for the next major DLC, usually Rockstar stops giving us really good money making opportunities as we approach a DLC, and I think that's right where we are, so don't expect to see any good bonus money for a while until after the DLC comes out. And obviously we don't know the date of that yet. I estimate late July. I guess we'll see. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.